All right, we're moving up through these kingdoms. So now we had viruses, bacteria. Now we're getting in more complex in the kingdom Protista. I'm not sure why it does that. There we go. All right, now most of these protists are unicellular, so one-celled, and they're categorized by their means of nutrition, how they feed. So you can have heterotrophic protists that feed on other organisms. This includes the animal-like protists, the protozoa or zooplankton. Um, it also includes the fungus-like protists. We can have photoautotrophs, photosynthesizers, and these are the plant-like protists. These are the algae and the phytoplankton. You can see obviously the green chloroplast in there for the photosynthesis. We can also have mixotrophs, and they can obtain their energy either way. Thus the name mixotroph. Okay. Now, most of the protists are motile. That means they can move. And they either use flagella or they'll use cilia and to move through the water or some sort of liquid. They're not they're not homologous structures with the bacteria though. It's analogous, remember? So same function, but it is a different structure. Um, they're an extension of the cytoplasm in protists, so they're actually considered organelles, and they're part of the plasma membrane in prokaryotes, and therefore not considered organelles. So the flagella are believed to have been a helical prokaryote that entered into some sort of symbiotic relationship. Um, Reproductively, most of them are sexually reproducing organisms, and of course, that method of sexual reproduction favors variation. There are some asexual protistas, and obviously, that's a faster process, but no variation. So they all are clones. And the habitats of these organisms, they're mainly aquatic. Um, Most are important parts of aquatic food chains or food webs, and some of them are symbiotic parasites. All right, whoop, there's the movement with the cilia. Okay, now there is this hypothesis out there called the endosymbiotic hypothesis, and this was proposed by Lynn Margulis back in 1960. So her thought was that smaller prokaryotes entered into some sort of symbiotic relationship with a larger prokaryote for protection. And in return, obviously this would be a mutualistic. In return, the smaller prokaryote provided the ability to produce energy or motility for the larger organism. So it's providing energy or motility, and the other one is providing protection. And this relationship would have given the quote new organism some sort of evolutionary advantage over the existing prokaryotes. And eventually, after hundreds of millions of years, that advantage led to the evolution of this domain Eukarya, and eventually into the kingdoms fungi, plantain, and animalia. So the concept with this endosymbiotic, endo mean within, symbiosis, this mutualistic, this living together relationship. And the supporting evidence for her hypothesis is the mitochondria, chloroplast, and the flagella that exists. Um, and so here we have a, a little more detailed picture of that endosymbiotic hypothesis. So the main examples of protists, the types of protists that exist are Euglenozoa. These are biflagellated. That means they have two flagella. They're biflagellated organisms, and most of them are mixotrophic, so they can photosynthesize or are heterotrophic, either one. And they have a red eye spot that helps them. See that eye spot right there? It helps them in detecting the sunlight. We'll call these euglenas, is what we usually call them. And there they are under the microscope, what they look like under the microscope. Then we have the alveolata. These organisms contain small air-filled chambers that are called alveoli. And dinoflagellates are an example of this. Most are phytoplankton. And an example is this red tide. See that red color in here? An example is the red tide. So dinoflagellates, the red tide is dinoflagellates. Now, it's important to note that these are toxic. They are poisonous to most mollusks, fish, and to humans. It is, though, a common occurrence in the Gulf of Mexico, and this is, for those of you who are part of the Crimson Tide fans, University of Alabama, Crimson Tide gets its name from this event, from the Red Tide event. There you have it. Woo! Roll Tide. All right, diatoms. Diatoms are very interesting. They produce this yellow-brown, energy-rich oil. They have this strong outer shell that's composed of silica, which is, it looks like stained glass, and silica is used in glass. It's a very important phytoplankton. In food chains, they're major producers. The other thing that's important is you'll see diatoms in our toothpaste. If you look, or if you see the word diatomaceous earth, anything like that, that is, they will dig these up and put these diatoms in our food. In our things that need kind of a grittiness to them. All right, then another type of protista, kingdom protista, is the Phaeophyta. Phaeo means brown, and we also call this sea kelp, or seaweed or kelp. So these, if you're on, especially in the oceans, and not a lot here, but in the oceans in California, in the Pacific Ocean, you'll be, you can swim and dive all through here. It's really fun to see the animals and stuff that live in there and that whole ecosystem underneath there. But they're not so nice when you're swimming and one hits your leg and washes up, and it's just like creepy. But so they produce this brown light absorbed pigment that contains iodine. Then we can also have the animal-like protists. These are called protozoas. And proto means first, of course, zoa is animal. Now, most of these move by using pseudopodia. Pseudo means false, pod means foot. And so they move by like this oozing motion. They catch and eat other organisms just like animals. Amoebas, that's a new version. The amoebas, most of them are free-living organisms, and they don't have any real shape to them. Mycotozoa, I'm so not saying that right. I completely just spaced the pronunciation, and I'm not sure why. But these are the fungus-like protists. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time with that. Oh, well, we'll just have to work on that for class. These are the fungus. Mycota means fungus. And so whenever you see mycelium and things like that, it's talking about those funguses and that string-like appearance. So these feed on decaying organisms because they're decomposers. And lastly, we have the Chlorophyta, which chloro, green. These are the multicellular green algae. These are the plant-like protists, and they perform photosynthesis just like plants. So there's our protists for the day. Woo!